Hello friends, welcome back. In the last video we worked on adding arguments to our methods, and in this one I thought we would add the type information. So we want to know the types of these arguments even though they aren't specified here. We can know based on how the method is called that A is a string and B is an integer, and then A in this method is an integer. So let's go ahead and just get ourselves a pass or a failing test, and we'll say that this returns a stir, and argument 0 is a stir, and that's a stir, and this is an int, and that's an int, and that's a stir, and end def is always nil. And this one's going to be an int, 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 int. And that means this is a stir and this is an int. Okay, so we've got a lot of work ahead of us. There's our beautiful diff output. Very nice. Much easier to read than this garbage down here. Where do we start? Well, we're going to need to know where the method is called. So when we set up these variables, we need to add a dependency on every time the method is called. And that's going to be a little bit tricky, but I think we can do it. So we already have a variable dependency, which I commented this out in the last video. But we have a variable dependency. What if we had a call arg dependency? Call arg dependency. So we're just going to make this up. I'm just making this stuff up as I go. Dependency. And it's going to take the method name and the arg index, and we might as well take the arg name. I think we're going to need that. And then it's going to take what? That's a good start for now. Let's start there. Method name. I just have to do this little dance here. Okay, and then this will be method name, arg index, arg name. And then type, we'll say raise to do. So we'll come back and work on that. And then in our compiler, call arg dependency. Okay. So we need a way to store everywhere we call a method. And we already have the method storage here, but let's add a calls here. And then when we call it, we'll say that here's the args. We need the arg instructions. We'll just change that to a map. And that'll return all the arg instructions. And then I suppose we want to say calls name. And then we're going to append to that. Instead of this stuff, there's a cool trick in Ruby. We can say, I want this to be a hash new, and when the key does not exist, I'm going to pass in the hash and the missing key, and then you do whatever you want. And here we're going to say, well, it's an empty array. And so what we're doing is we're assigning a value to this missing key on the hash, and we're saying it's an empty array. It's a little bit cleaner, I think. And so now we can, skip. Whoops. We could skip the this call here, so we don't have to define that. I suppose this is just going to be the arg instructions, or should I be a little more explicit and say args? Yeah. That works. Is this still running? Yeah. Just want to make sure. It blinked so fast I didn't see it. So now we have a place to store all the calls. I suppose we need a way to set up dependencies on these little doodads here. So let's move these off. Let's say I1 is this, I1, I2 is this, I2. And we'll say I1 has a dependency called a call arg, that wasn't helpful, arg dependency dot new, and then let's pull that back up because I think I was wrong here. I don't think we care about the method name. I think we just care about the calls to it. The calls to the method. Yeah, calls. I don't know. I don't know if that's right or not, but that's what I'm going to do for now. I'm going to say the calls to this method are calls name, which should return that array. Now, even though the method is defined before the calls to it happen, it should return that array object that then will be mutated. So by the time we use it, it should have the calls in it. That's my thinking. I don't know if that's true, but we'll find out. Arg name is just arg, I think. Yep. And so let's move this up. There we go. So now we have this dependency called a call arg dependency. And this instruction's dependency is just the value above. So it's just I1 because we push the argument onto the stack and then we set it from that stack position. So that one's not hard at all. And call arg dependency. So now when this gets called, we should see a to-do here, hopefully. Yes, perfect. So let's print out the calls. Did we get the information we wanted? Yes, we got one call to this method, and then we know the arg index, so we can get that off. So we'll say a unique types is calls dot map call args. We'll say fetch on this because I kind of want a little more helpful error message when it's not there, if it's ever not there. And then this is going to be the arg index. Dot compact, get rid of all the nils. I don't know if there would ever be nils. There might be. And then unique. And say if unique types size is 1, then return that type first, else raise type error. We need the method name, don't we? Yeah, we need the method name because we want a better error message. Method name, and method name is name. This is getting a little big. I'm just going to move this down so I can kind of see it a little better. Yeah, it's a little bit better. There we go. Name. Didn't like that unterminated string. Where? Oh, that's my error. Okay. Method name. Just for consistency, let's stick this here. Method name was called with arg name with more than one type. You know, I guess if it's 0, we'll just say raise type error. Method name arg has unknown type. Okay. And then called with more than one type and unique types dot inspect. Okay. Well, we are back to our diff, and we can start to maybe pick out something to figure out. Oh, what is this? Oh, okay. So I got close. I need to actually call type bang on this to get the actual type. So how does that get us anything? well, some things got fixed, but some other things did not. Our diff is much smaller. That's good. But our def foo does not know its type. Why don't you know your type? Return instruction is the body instruction last. That's the dependency. Oh, I think I know what the problem is. You know, we commented out variable dependency. We commented this out. I think we want that back, unknown variable A. And the reason it's unknown is because we didn't call setVar like we do here on lassign. We also want it on arguments. So let's do this, and we'll say that's the arg, and this is I2 setVar. Wait, where do we call setVar? Lassign setVar. SetVar. We call it with the setVar instruction. Variable A was set with more than one type, int and string. Ooh, okay, this is getting fun. Can you spot the problem here? I'll give you a second. I'll give you a second to look at it. Oh, I don't know why this gets me so hyped. This is the silliest thing. I don't know. I guess it's silly. It feels silly. Okay, so the problem is that we have an A in this method and we have an A in this method. So we know as programmers that those are two different A's, but we've not taught our compiler that they're two different ones. We kind of got close. We have this scope stack here for variables, but I never added anything to it. It's always just that single stack item. So I think the fix here is inside of defn, we'll do scope stack. What was it? Vars and then an empty hash. Vars empty hash. And then down here near the end, we want to pop that off. So that will give the body of the method its own scope. Cross your fingers, write the file. Yes. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, I'm so hyped. This is amazing. So I can put that back. Compiler spec. Let's just look over our spec. Let's look over our beautiful work. We got type information for all of these instructions based on where it was called. So if we call this with a different type here, we're going to get this message. Foo was called with arg A with more than one type. Let's should we code that into a spec? Yeah, why not? It raises an error if the method arg type is unknown. So that's like if there's not enough information. I'm just copying a little bit of code here. Let's get rid of that. And so this is just a method without ever calling it. So I think we'll do something like this. Must raise type error. Expect e.message must equal foo. Okay. That's not, so actually what we actually want this to be is foo arg A, something like that, has unknown type. Okay, now let's go fix that real fast. Call arg dependency. I just want to put these in quotes, just kind of make them stick out a little bit. Maybe. I don't know. How does that look? Does that look good? Does that look like a real error message? Foo arg A. We'll say argument A to method Should be a little more verbose here. We'll say not enough information to infer type of argument A in method foo. That is an error message I would not hate. You know what I mean? Okay. Boom. And then we'll say this is arg name, and this is method name. Okay, got a passing test. Great. Now what happens if it's called with more than one type? Raise an error if the method arg type, if method arg can have more than one type. Okay. So what if this was called with a 1 and it was called with a string? So this error would be something like argument A in method foo was called with more than one type, and then we'll say that it was called with int and stir. Yeah, that's the error I want to get. So we'll fix that right down here. Argument. In method, I need to put the little quotes. Method name was called with more than one type. I just typed all that out again. Very good. And we'll sort these to make sure that they always come back in the order that we'd expect. It's beautiful. So now we actually have some tests that help us prove that this does what we expect. Okay, so you're probably asking or thinking, well, why can't that return more than one type? Because I'm inventing this language and I can do whatever I want. But basically, that would require, I think there's like a compiler word for that, specialization or monomorphization or something. I'm gonna say I don't know what this is called, but yes, if we're inventing our own language, we could essentially say that, well, this could be either type, and we'll just generate a foo2 that this one's an int and this one's a stir or whatever. I'm not going to get into that. I'm just going to say a part of this language, it doesn't have that. You can't call, you can't pretend that the method handles both ints and strings. Maybe we'll get to there in the future, but actually I'm going to go look that up because I want to say the actual word, monomorphization or some such. Go away. Let's make these smaller. There we go. Compile time process where polymorphic functions are replaced by many monomorphic functions for each unique instantiation. Okay, I think that's what we're talking about here. Yes, that's exactly what we're talking about. So I was close. Monomorphization. Morphization? Yeah. Whatever. I don't pretend to know what I'm talking about. You guys should already know this by now. Yeah, we don't we don't support monomorphization yet. Okay. Cool. Well, let's just commit this and we'll say day 8. Beautiful. Oh, fun. I hope you had a good time. I hope that you're doing some fun project in the month of December, or you're getting inspired to do your own project. That's always my goal, is to show that programming can be fun. You can do it without knowing what in the world you're doing. And no one can stop you. It is you and your computer, and it doesn't matter if people on the internet are going to come along and say you don't know what you're doing. In fact, I just own it. I don't know what I'm doing, and I don't care. I'm having a ton of fun, and I think that's the way programming should be. So Yeah, that's all I want to say about that. Programming should be fun, and if someone is trying to take that away from you uh, by telling you that you don't know what you're doing, then forget them. You don't need them. Find some friends who are encouraging you to do fun things that expand your mind. And I guess with that, I'll be done for this day. What are we going to work on next? We've got ints and strings and methods with args. Do we dare do an array type? I don't know. Maybe an array type, or if we're on day 8, yeah, I might want to start working on actually executing this code. I'm either going to make a VM or like an interpreter VM, or I'm going to compile it to C++ or WebAssembly or something. I don't know. I haven't even, like I said, this is completely open-ended, and I don't know where this is going. So I guess come back and find out. We'll see. But thanks for hanging out. Hope to see you next time.